Welcome to our channel. HD Rare Coins 111. In this video I tell you about the USA Washington quarter dollar, which are most valuable and rare. If you interested, please subscribe my channel. Thanks. Top 1. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins in the history of American currency, the 2001 North Carolina Washington quarter dollar. Now, this isn't just any ordinary quarter. It's a piece of history, rich with meaning, artistry, and an interesting tale about its creation. By the time we reach the end of this video, you'll not only understand why this coin is so important, but also why it could be worth a staggering $25,000. Yes, you heard that right. So, let's take a step back in time to the year 2001. The United States was in the middle of a remarkable phase of coin production, the 50-state quarters program. This ambitious project, launched in 1999, aimed to honor each of the 50 states with a unique quarter design, released in the order the states were admitted to the Union. It's hard to overstate how massive this project was. For over a decade, the U.S. Mint introduced a new state quarter every 10 weeks. And it was during this period that one of the most notable and collectible quarters came into being, the 2001 North Carolina quarter. Let's talk about the design for a moment, because it truly encapsulates North Carolina's deep history and cultural significance. On the reverse side of the coin, we see a remarkable design featuring an image that symbolizes North Carolina's first flight, the Wright brothers' famous flight in Kitty Hawk. It was December 17, 1903, when Orville and Wilbur Wright made history with the first controlled, sustained flight of an aircraft. To commemorate this achievement, the design features the Wright brothers' plane in mid-flight, soaring above the words, "First Flight." This design wasn't just selected out of thin air. The U.S. Mint held a design competition, and North Carolina's citizens, along with coin experts, were asked to weigh in. The winning design not only honored the Wright brothers' groundbreaking achievement, but also captured the spirit of innovation and progress. The artist responsible for the design was John Flanagan, the same artist who originally designed the image of George Washington for the Washington quarter back in 1932. This connection between the original quarter and the North Carolina version adds an extra layer of historical depth. But the coin's significance doesn't just end with its design. The Washington quarter itself, which has been in circulation since 1932, carries a great deal of cultural weight. As the face of the quarter, George Washington is featured on the obverse of each of these coins. This particular quarter, however, carries more than just Washington's likeness. It also represents the pride, innovation, and identity of North Carolina as a state. Now, let's discuss the minting details. The 2001 North Carolina quarter was struck at 3 U.S. Mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each of these mint facilities produced millions of these quarters, ensuring they were widely distributed across the United States. The coin is made from a clad composition of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, like most quarters minted today. But here's where things get interesting. Even though these coins were minted in large quantities, certain variations and errors began to surface, increasing the coin's rarity and value among collectors. For example, the initial release of these coins saw some with misaligned dies, which are incredibly rare and highly sought after. This is why it's crucial to check the condition of any 2001 North Carolina quarter you come across, because even the slightest imperfection or irregularity can make a significant difference in its value. So, why do collectors care so much about this specific quarter? The Washington quarter, as part of the 50-state quarters program, holds a particular place in the hearts of collectors because it was part of one of the most successful coin programs ever undertaken by the U.S. Mint. But it's the 2001 North Carolina quarter, with its link to aviation history, that has earned a special status among numismatists. The combination of its historical significance, artistic design, and relatively rare variations has contributed to its growing appeal over the years. And here comes the moment you've been waiting for: the value. As of today, the 2001 North Carolina Washington quarter can be worth far more than just its face value of 25 cents. In fact, the rarest, most well-preserved examples of this coin, especially those with minting errors or rare characteristics, have been known to fetch astonishing prices at auction. Some examples, in pristine uncirculated condition, have sold for upwards of $25,000. That's right, a quarter, worth 25 cents, can sell for thousands of dollars, depending on its condition and rarity. But how can you determine whether the 2001 North Carolina quarter you have is worth a small fortune? First and foremost, it all comes down to the coin's condition. Coins that are graded as MS-67 or higher by professional grading services like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, can fetch high prices. Coins that show little to no wear, no scratches, and have a crisp, well-defined image tend to command the most attention from collectors. Furthermore, as I mentioned earlier, any coin that has been struck with an error, whether it be a misaligned die, a double strike, or another unique feature, can increase the value exponentially. So, where can you find one of these rare, valuable quarters? Well, there are a few ways to get your hands on one. You could check your pocket change or visit coin shops and online auction platforms like eBay or Heritage Auctions. Sometimes coins slip through the cracks and end up in circulation, so it's worth keeping your eyes peeled. However, the best way to find one is to stay connected with the larger coin collecting community. Attend coin shows, read coin magazines, and network with other collectors who might be able to help you find the gem you're looking for. But before you rush out to hunt down your own rare North Carolina quarter, let me remind you that not every 2001 North Carolina quarter is worth a small fortune. You may find plenty of these coins in circulation, and while they're certainly an interesting piece of American history, they likely won't be worth much more than face value unless they meet certain criteria. It's the condition, the rarity, and the unique features that make all the difference. As with all collectibles, it's important to approach the world of numismatics with a sense of passion, curiosity, and, of course, patience. Collecting coins like the 2001 North Carolina Washington quarter can be both an enjoyable and potentially lucrative hobby. Whether you're simply fascinated by the historical significance behind the coin, or you're hoping to make a big find that could land you thousands of dollars, the journey of discovering coins like these is a rewarding one. In conclusion, the 2001 North Carolina Washington quarter dollar is far more than just a coin. It's a representation of the ingenuity and spirit of North Carolina, commemorating the groundbreaking achievements of the Wright brothers. It's a piece of American history wrapped in artistry and craftsmanship. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a newcomer to the world of coins, this quarter holds immense potential for both enjoyment and value. Keep your eyes open, and who knows, you might just discover a hidden treasure worth more than you ever imagined. Top 2. We're diving into the fascinating world of one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, the 1974 Washington quarter dollar. But this isn't just any quarter. It's a coin that has stood the test of time, enduring through years of change, capturing the essence of American pride, and growing in value. Stick with me as we explore the coin's rich history, its design elements, its minting process, and of course, the mind-blowing current value of this incredible piece of American currency. By the time we reach the end of this video, you'll have a deep appreciation for this coin, and maybe even start eyeing the quarters in your pocket with a little more scrutiny. So, let's travel back to the year 1974. The United States was undergoing significant transformations during this time. The country had recently emerged from the turbulence of the 1960s and early 1970s, a decade marked by political unrest, social movements, and economic challenges. The Watergate scandal was unfolding, and President Richard Nixon was dealing with the fallout. But amidst all of this, one thing remained constant: the currency that Americans used every day, including the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter, in its 1974 form, was already over 40 years old, having first been minted in 1932. The coin had gone through various design changes, but by the early 1970s, it had become a symbol of the country's resilience and national pride. If you've ever held a quarter, you've likely seen the image of George Washington, the nation's first president, staring back at you. This image, which graces the obverse side of the coin, was designed by John Flanagan and has been a constant feature of the quarter for decades. In 1974, the design remained faithful to its original form. The coin's obverse still featured Washington's left-facing profile, with the words, "Liberty," above and "In God We Trust," inscribed beneath. The date, 1974, was also prominently displayed. On the reverse side, we see the classic image of an eagle in flight, holding an olive branch and arrows in its talons, symbolizing peace and strength. This image, designed by famed engraver John R. Cynic, has been synonymous with the quarter since the mid-20th century. While the design remained unchanged in 1974, there were some interesting developments in how the coin was produced. The United States Mint had been minting quarters for decades, but in the early 1970s, there were some significant shifts in the country's monetary policy and coin production. A key moment occurred in 1971 when the U.S. Mint began producing coins in greater quantities due to the increasing demand for small change and the impact of inflation. The minting of quarters in 1974 took place in 3 major U.S. Mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each location produced large numbers of quarters, but what makes these coins particularly interesting is that the 1974 Washington quarter was struck in a time when the U.S. Mint had transitioned from using 90% silver to using a copper-nickel-clad composition for most coins, including the quarter. By 1974, the silver content of the quarter had already been reduced, which meant that these coins were primarily made of copper and nickel, not silver. This shift was part of the broader trend toward debasement of the U.S. coinage that had begun in the late 1960s, after the U.S. left the gold standard. For collectors and investors, this shift has played a significant role in determining the value of certain coins. The absence of silver in the 1974 Washington quarter means that it is less valuable in terms of its metal content, but that doesn't mean it lacks significant collector value. Let's move on to the heart of the story: why collectors are so enamored with the 1974 Washington quarter. At first glance, the 1974 quarter may seem like just another coin from the era, but it's much more than that. To understand why, we need to talk about a couple of important factors: rarity, condition, and errors. First, rarity. While millions of 1974 Washington quarters were minted, most of them were produced in fairly large quantities. However, there are certain variations of the coin that stand out. For example, there are instances of 1974 Washington quarters that were struck in error or were released into circulation with minor imperfections that make them rare and highly sought after by collectors. These coins, known as minting errors, can include things like double strikes, off-center strikes, or coins with misaligned dies. A coin with these kinds of errors is far rarer than a standard 1974 quarter, which makes it more valuable. Next, we need to talk about condition. As with most coins, the condition of a 1974 Washington quarter plays a massive role in determining its value. Coins that are in excellent, uncirculated condition are far more valuable than those that are worn and circulated. The difference between a coin that has a few light scratches and one that is in pristine, almost perfect condition can be substantial. In numismatics, coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being the highest possible grade. A 1974 Washington quarter in MS65 or higher can demand a much higher price than a coin with a lower grade. But here's where it gets even more exciting. The 1974 Washington quarter has been known to fetch incredible prices, particularly when it's in top condition or has a minting error. In fact, the rarest examples of this coin, with perfect minting and unique errors, can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Yes, you heard that correctly. A coin that originally circulated for just 25 cents could be worth a jaw-dropping $40,000 or more in today's market. Now, let's break down exactly how this happens. The value of these coins depends on a variety of factors, including how many survived in pristine condition, how many have errors, and how much collectors are willing to pay for them. You might wonder why a 1974 Washington quarter could be worth so much more than its face value. Well, it all comes down to the rarity and the story behind each individual coin. In recent years, collectors have become more and more interested in coins with minting errors, as they add a layer of mystery and intrigue to the history of the coin. A small mistake during the minting process can lead to a rare coin that might never be produced again. For instance, a 1974 Washington quarter that has an off-center strike or a double die error might be the only one of its kind. This kind of uniqueness is what makes the coin so desirable to collectors. If you happen to come across a 1974 Washington quarter in your pocket change, you might want to take a closer look at it. Look for signs of minting errors, check its condition, and consider having it professionally graded. A coin that's in mint condition or has a unique error can command an impressive sum at auction or from serious collectors. Some collectors even specialize in finding these rare error coins, making them one of the most sought-after items in the numismatic world. So, let's wrap up this journey into the world of the 1974 Washington quarter by addressing the big question: how much is it really worth? Well, if you're lucky enough to have a rare 1974 Washington quarter with a minting error or one in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could be worth as much as $40,000 or more. This is the high-end value for the rarest and most sought-after specimens. Even coins in decent condition, without any major errors, can be worth more than their face value, though they won't reach such extreme amounts. For the average collector, a 1974 Washington quarter in good condition might only fetch a few dollars, still a nice profit over face value. But for those who are serious about numismatics and keeping an eye out for rare finds, this coin can become a valuable treasure trove. If you're lucky enough to find a mint error or a near-perfect example of this coin, you could find yourself sitting on a small fortune. In conclusion, the 1974 Washington quarter dollar isn't just a coin, it's a piece of American history, a symbol of resilience, and a testament to the artistry and craftsmanship that goes into producing our nation's currency. While it might seem like a regular coin at first glance, this quarter is one of the many gems in the world of numismatics, with some rare examples worth a staggering $40,000. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting to explore the world of coins, the 1974 Washington quarter is a fascinating and valuable piece of American history that's well worth your attention. Top 3. We're going to explore one of the most fascinating quarters in U.S. history, the 1998 Washington quarter dollar. Now, while quarters may seem like everyday currency, this specific coin is far from ordinary. Over the years, it's gained considerable attention not only because of its design but also for its hidden potential to be worth an eye-popping $30,000. Yes, you've heard that right, $30,000 for a single quarter. But before we jump into that shocking value reveal, let's take a deep dive into the history and story behind this seemingly ordinary coin, which is far more extraordinary than most people realize. To understand why the 1998 Washington quarter stands out among its peers, we need to understand the larger context of coin production during that time. The year is 1998, and America is in the midst of significant political and cultural change. Bill Clinton was serving his second term as president, the economy was experiencing one of its most prosperous periods, and the country was deep in the information age, with the dot-com boom making headlines. But amid all these changes, one constant was the everyday coinage that people used: quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. In fact, the Washington quarter, which had been around since 1932, was still going strong in 1998, but it had evolved significantly since its early days. The Washington quarter was first introduced during the Great Depression as a way to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter featured an iconic portrait of Washington on the obverse, and on the reverse, an eagle holding an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing peace and strength. It was an instant success, and quickly became one of the most recognized coins in the U.S. This was a time when Americans were still using coins made of 90% silver, giving the quarter a substantial weight and value. However, by the 1960s, silver was phased out of most circulating coins due to rising metal costs, and the quarter became part of the copper-nickel-clad series that we're familiar with today. Fast forward to the 1990s, and the Washington quarter was now part of the U.S. Mint's ongoing efforts to update and refresh coin designs. While the basic image of George Washington's portrait remained unchanged, The U.S. Mint began producing state-specific quarter designs as part of the 50 State Quarters program that started in 1999. This monumental series, released over 10 years, featured a unique design for each state, honoring its history, culture, and people. However, the 1998 Washington Quarter was part of a transitional period, right before the 50 State Quarters program kicked off. The 1998 Washington Quarter is noteworthy because it marks the final year of the original Washington Quarter design before the state-specific designs took over. This makes it a transitional piece in the history of U.S. coinage. The 1998 quarter was minted at all three U.S. Mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with each mint producing millions of these quarters. Let's take a closer look at the design of the 1998 quarter itself. On the obverse, we see the familiar image of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Washington's profile is left-facing, with the word, Liberty above. In God We Trust, beneath, and the year 1998 below his portrait. It's a clean, bold design, and it's easy to see why it has remained largely unchanged for decades. On the reverse side, you'll see the same classic eagle design, which had been in place since the mid-20th century. This reverse was originally created by John R. Cynic and depicts a majestic bald eagle flying with an olive branch in one talon and a bundle of arrows in the other. The eagle is a symbol of American strength and peace, and it's hard not to feel a sense of national pride when looking at this powerful image. The 1998 Washington Quarter is made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, which means it contains 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. It weighs 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, making it the same size and weight as most modern quarters. While this composition might seem standard, it's the condition and rarity of specific coins that truly determine their value in the world of numismatics. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1998 Washington Quarter so special? At first glance, the 1998 quarter may seem like just another coin, but there are a few key factors that make it stand out from the crowd in the world of coin collecting. First, let's talk about the minting process. The U.S. Mint produces millions of quarters every year, so how do some of these coins become highly sought after by collectors? The answer lies in a couple of critical factors: rarity and condition. While many 1998 Washington quarters were struck and circulated, only a fraction of them are in pristine condition today. Coins that are still in mint or uncirculated condition, especially those with minimal wear and tear, are far more valuable than those that have been through heavy circulation. Furthermore, some 1998 Washington quarters were minted with specific errors that make them extremely rare and valuable. These errors can include things like double strikes, misaligned dies, or off-center strikes. Minting errors occur when a coin is struck incorrectly during the production process, and these mistakes can lead to one-of-a-kind coins that become highly coveted by collectors. But what really drives the price of the 1998 Washington Quarter up is its connection to the history of American coinage and its place in the broader context of the 50 State Quarters program. As the final year of the classic Washington Quarter design, the 1998 coin is seen as a transitional piece, a bridge between the old and the new. Many collectors view the 1998 Washington Quarter as a piece of history, and its value has steadily increased over time. Now, let's get to the moment you've all been waiting for. How much is this coin really worth? The value of a 1998 Washington Quarter can vary widely depending on its condition, any minting errors it might have, and whether it has been professionally graded. Coins that are in perfect, uncirculated condition, graded as MS67 or higher by professional grading services like NGC or PCGS, can command significant sums. In fact, some of these quarters have been sold for as much as $30,000 at auction. Yes, $30,000 for a coin worth just 25 cents when it was minted. That's the potential of a rare, high-grade, error-free 1998 Washington Quarter. But even if your coin isn't in perfect condition, it could still be worth more than face value. Coins that show little wear and are in good condition might fetch anywhere from $10 to $100 or more, especially if they have unique characteristics like a subtle die crack or other minor errors. If you're lucky enough to find a 1998 Washington quarter with an error or in near perfect condition, you might be sitting on a small fortune. So, what should you do if you come across one of these coins? First, examine it closely. Look for signs of minting errors, and make sure to check the condition. If the coin is in great shape, you may want to have it professionally graded to get an accurate valuation. It's important to remember that not every 1998 Washington quarter is going to be worth thousands of dollars, but with the right combination of condition, rarity, and error, some can be worth far more than you'd expect. This coin is a perfect example of how seemingly ordinary pieces of currency can hold incredible value for collectors who are willing to look a little closer. In conclusion, the 1998 Washington quarter dollar is far more than just a piece of currency. It's a symbol of America's enduring history, a transitional coin marking the end of an era, and a potential treasure for the savvy collector. Whether it's a perfectly preserved example, a rare minting error, or a coin with historical significance, the 1998 quarter offers tremendous potential for collectors, and in some cases, can be worth as much as $30,000. So, the next time you reach into your pocket or coin jar, remember that you might be holding a piece of history in your hand. Whether it's a 1998 Washington quarter or another coin with rare characteristics, numismatics can be a thrilling hobby that brings excitement, education, and even financial reward. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all things coin collecting. Happy hunting, and I'll see you next time. Top 4. We're diving deep into the history and fascinating world of one of the most iconic and valuable U.S. coins, the 1986 Washington quarter dollar. This coin, part of the Washington quarter series, has a unique place in the history of American currency, and if you've ever wondered why certain coins stand out more than others, you're in for an exciting journey. By the end of this video, we'll also reveal something mind-blowing. A 1986 Washington quarter can be worth as much as $35,000 in certain conditions. Now, I know what you're thinking. A 1986 quarter worth that much? Is it even possible? Well, stick with me as we uncover the rich history, intricate details, and unique collector appeal behind this seemingly ordinary coin. First, let's go back in time to the mid-1980s. The United States was in the midst of political, economic, and cultural change. Ronald Reagan was serving his second term as president, and the country was experiencing significant changes in its global influence, economic policy, and technological advancements. But despite all the shifts happening in the world, there was one thing that remained a constant: the currency used by the American public, including the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter had been in circulation for decades by 1986. Introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday, this coin had become a symbol of American pride, history, and resilience. The design, created by John Flanagan, had undergone some changes over the years, but it had remained a staple of American currency. Fast forward to 1986, and this iconic quarter was still being minted in large quantities, albeit with fewer major design changes than in previous decades. By the time the 1986 Washington quarter came around, the coin had gone through a transformation. The U.S. Mint had transitioned from using 90% silver in quarters to a clad copper-nickel composition in 1965, and the design had remained relatively unchanged since the 1930s. On the obverse, we see George Washington's profile, facing left. Above his head, the word "Liberty" is inscribed, and below his bust is the phrase, "In God We Trust." The year 1986 is also displayed under his image, marking the date of minting. On the reverse, the design remains the same, a bald eagle in flight, holding an olive branch and arrows. The eagle symbolizes the strength and resilience of the United States, and it's easy to see why this design became iconic. Around the eagle, the words, "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and quarter dollar, are engraved, reinforcing the country's unity and the quarter's value. But here's where it gets really interesting. While the design of the coin didn't change much in 1986, this year marked a key moment in American numismatic history. The U.S. Mint had been steadily increasing the number of coins produced during this time, and with it came a renewed interest in coin collecting. The 1986 quarter was minted at 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But more importantly, it was part of a year when there was a surge of interest in rare coins, and certain 1986 quarters started to stand out as more valuable than others. You might be asking, what makes the 1986 Washington quarter so special? After all, millions of these coins were struck and circulated. The answer lies in a few important factors, including the coin's rarity, its condition, and the possibility of mint errors. Let's talk about rarity first. While millions of 1986 quarters were struck, not all of them are still around today in pristine condition. Many of the coins that were circulated during the 1980s have been heavily worn down from years of use. However, certain quarters from this year were released into circulation and ended up in excellent condition, sometimes even as uncirculated pieces. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins in top-notch condition. Coins that are graded as MS67 or higher, meaning they are near perfect or flawless, are in high demand and can fetch a much higher price than a standard coin. Coins in lower grades, while still valuable, won't reach the same levels of worth. A high-grade 1986 Washington quarter can sell for significantly more than its face value of 25 cents, especially if it is uncirculated or near perfect. But it's not just about condition. Minting errors can also elevate the value of a 1986 quarter. Some of these quarters were struck with misaligned dies, double strikes, or other types of minting flaws. These errors make the coin unique, and rarity combined with error increases its collector appeal. A misaligned die or a quarter with a noticeable double strike can be worth far more than a regular 1986 Washington quarter. Imagine having a coin that was never meant to look the way it does. This kind of rarity catches the attention of serious collectors and numismatists, often leading to higher prices at auctions. So, what is the potential value of a 1986 Washington quarter, and why can it be worth up to $35,000 in certain circumstances? Well, the true value of a coin is determined by a few key factors: rarity, condition, demand, and the presence of errors. As mentioned earlier, a typical 1986 quarter in good condition might only fetch a few dollars. However, if the coin is uncirculated and graded at a high level by professional services like NGC or PCGS, it can fetch a price of hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now, let's talk about the ultimate collector's prize, a 1986 Washington quarter with a rare minting error, particularly one that is graded as MS67 or higher. Coins like these have been sold at auction for up to $35,000, thanks to their rarity, their perfect condition, and the mistakes that occurred during the minting process. To put it into perspective, a quarter that once circulated for just 25 cents is now worth more than a typical car. That's the power of rare, high-grade coins in the world of numismatics. What makes these high-value 1986 quarters even more fascinating is the fact that not many of them exist. The U.S. Mint produced millions of quarters in 1986, but only a small fraction of these coins were preserved in pristine condition or featured minting errors. The survival rate of coins in perfect condition, especially those from decades ago, is relatively low. So, if you're lucky enough to find one of these rare quarters, you might just be holding a piece of American numismatic history that could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. If you're on the hunt for a 1986 Washington quarter, it's important to be diligent. When searching through your pocket change or browsing through coin collections, always take a moment to inspect the condition of the quarters you come across. Check for any signs of wear, mint errors, or unique features that might make the coin stand out. Coins that are in uncirculated or near perfect condition should be examined closely, and it may be worth getting them professionally graded to determine their true value. To summarize, the 1986 Washington quarter is more than just a piece of currency. It's a valuable collectible with the potential to be worth far more than its original face value. Whether it's a high-grade, uncirculated coin or one with a rare minting error, the 1986 quarter has proven to be a treasure for collectors, with some of the rarest examples fetching an astonishing $35,000 at auction. If you're a coin collector or just getting started in numismatics, keep your eyes peeled for these hidden gems. They might just be sitting in your coin jar or wallet, waiting to make you a small fortune. Thank you for joining me today on this numismatic adventure. I hope you've learned something new and exciting about the 1986 Washington quarter. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on future videos about rare coins and their incredible value. Keep collecting, keep exploring, and who knows? Maybe the next big find is just around the corner.